Hello there. This is a special Crossys Corner, and it's so special because we're in this amazing place in Leander, the Leander Library, loads of own books. If you're a bibliophile like me, you absolutely love it. And I love the person I'm sitting next to, world champion James Robson. Welcome to Crossys Corner, James.
Thank you very much for having me, Martin.
Yeah, it's top quality stuff being in this beautiful place. How long have you been associated with Leander?
So I came to Leander after I left Newcastle in 2018. There was a pretty strong lineage of people following, like coming down from leaving Newcastle. People like Tom Ford, Sam Arnott, Tim Clark, people like that who'd made the transition from being at Newcastle to being in the national team through Leander. So I came down, joined the squad in 2018, and then trained here through 2018-19 through COVID, and then I was taken into the team in 2021.
Before we get into a few things, like Newcastle, there's quite a lineage of Newcastle people being in the squad,
yeah,
male and female. What is it about the Blue Star?
Oh, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, Angelo he's been one of the most transformative people in my life. To be honest, I turned up at Newcastle not really knowing whether I'd started rowing 6 months before I left school, had a gap year where I hadn't touched an oar. I sort of thought I would be interested in rowing at university, but it wasn't necessarily on my radar. I walked up the stairs at the Freshers' Fair and Tom Ford pointed at me and said, "Do you want to come rowing?" And I was like, "I think so." And so, I mean, Angelo taught me so much, and I think he's taught all of his athletes so much, and really about pushing yourself to your limits and exceeding your own expectations. And I think the program that he instilled and the attitude and the mentality that he instilled in so many of his athletes has led to, I mean, in Paris, we had 6 Newcastle athletes in the Paris team. And yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic place to train. I absolutely loved rowing on the Tyne. The rowing community is so strong up there. There are some amazing clubs, especially, I mean, you've got Tyne Rowing Club, you've got Tyne United, both of whom I had some connections with when I was in Newcastle, did a bit of coaching for both of them as well. And it's great to see the rowing community kind of building and strengthening up there the whole time. So it's a wonderful place to train and amazing people to train with. And the club's in a good spot. I really enjoy going back and talking to the athletes there.
I know finances are always an issue with universities, and I understand because some of the lads from Hampton where I teach have gone up to Newcastle, certainly one of them. Angelo is not going to be there forever. I'm not sure if this is his last year, but funding is an issue. How do you see the university doing?
Yeah, I mean it's always difficult. I think rowing's quite a capital intensive sport, and especially when you're as good as Newcastle are at it, it requires a decent amount of investment, and the university have been amazing at investing in the boat club and the broader network. I think it's a challenge for lots of universities that is sort of coming up. We as a Blue Star alumni have got quite a strong alumni network. We have our own boat club, the Blue Star Club. So we're working really hard to try and find ways that we can help support the club as well as the university. There will be the inevitable transition of when Angelo leaves. Unfortunately, he can't coach forever as much as we would like him to. I think he's been at the club 20 years, and actually we had there's a memorial dinner that happens every year for a guy called Jim London, who sadly died, but he was a rower in the 90s, and each year there's a person who's awarded the Jim London Award, sort of embodies the Newcastle University Boat Club spirit, and Angelo won the award this year for his 20 years of service. And he loves pointing out on the honours board that this was all of the honours that Newcastle had before he arrived, and then the laundry list of people afterwards that came since he started coaching there. But yeah, it is financially it's going to be a challenge, but I think the club's in a good spot. We're looking at hopefully a positive direction moving forward, and when that change happens, it'll be incredibly sad, but we're all excited to see what happens after that.
Now, we were talking just before we went on air, and you have now reached shall we say, a distinguished position within the British rowing squad.
Yeah, I'm now, unfortunately, Tom Barris has decided to hang up his oars after a pretty illustrious career. So I'm now the oldest person in the building, oldest man in the building, on the men's squad, certainly. And it's an interesting position. There are conversations that happen that I don't really understand what people are talking about sometimes. But luckily I've got a couple of the lads who sort of take pity on me and try and let me know exactly what's going on. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fun to be around young sort of energetic people, and it makes going to training quite a fun place.
Yeah, I'd say that working in a school, actually. The kids are always the same age, and I'm the one getting older. So we're talking the day before you go with the team, I gather, to the British Indoor Rowing Championships.
Yeah. So British Rowing, I think, trying to navigate this massively popular, growth of indoor rowing, and British Indoors is part of that strategy. And James Lee's done a fantastic job in organising the amazing event up in Birmingham. So yeah, we're going as a team en masse up there to race in the 2K, the Open 2K, 140 on Saturday, which is exciting. I think it's interesting for us. It's very early in the season, so we might not all be in the best 2K shape, but it's a good sort of marker for us to the end of this first block of the season and see where we are, and then hopefully.
Have you tapered at all for this?
Not massively. I think it's difficult because we had Fours Head a couple of weeks into the season, and then there are obviously lots of different things that we want to try and do well, and we've got trials coming up next week, so that is potentially more of a priority than British Indoors, but we've had a bit more time on the O to sort of get ready. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
So I remember James Rudkin, when he was on the Row Show, another graduate of Newcastle. They asked him his 2K PB. He said, "I'm not going to tell you."
Oh, really?
So you'll feel quite at liberty to either let us know. But what is your 2K PB?
No, I feel I can say, because mine was unfortunately mine was done a long time ago.
Yeah.
On the Newcastle training program, actually, I managed to get my 2K PB. So yeah, I had a 5:48.2.
Oh, wicked! So sub 5:50. Yeah. It's quite interesting, actually. I talked with Tom Digby. Is Tom rowing this year?
At the moment, he's rehabbing from. He's had some medical hip surgeries and stuff, and planning his wedding, which is very exciting.
Oh,
but, right. He's on the rehab training.
Yeah. Okay. So I talked with him, and his best ergos, I think he got dropped to the 2V, and in a fit of peak broke 3 world records in like 10 days on the erg, or some story like that. But he was kind of saying that he's never improved on his ergo PB, and we kind of got into a conversation of the program at Caversham is not particularly suited to producing guys their best 2K PB, either from when they do the test or the training load. How fair is that?
I don't know. I mean, there are lots of people that come into the team and pull PBs. I think the program is difficult. There is a lot of mileage, and I think the 2K ergo is a tool for selection, and it's a physiological marker for us to hit. But we're aware that actually the most important thing is how we perform on the water and how we perform at international races. And so I think when you're coming up through the ranks, it's obviously, like I said, it's a marker, and it's something that it's a benchmark that you can judge yourself against. And as long as, you got to make sure that you can hit the cutoffs that the British rowing team want for their senior athletes. But I think, and I've certainly felt this personally, my focus has shifted more to the on-water performances and the international racing that eventually is, essentially is what I'm here to do. Is I'm here to try and win gold medals, and I'm not necessarily here to pull a big number on ergo, and it's a lovely thing to have if I can. But I think it's a training tool, it's a testing tool, and I think the coaches at Caversham are becoming sort of aware that on-water performances is where we really need to shine.
So are you going to be happy with like 128 splits?
I mean, at the moment, yes,
Okay.
that would be. I would absolutely love that. I think some of the lads are going really, really well. We had some prep stuff yesterday, so some of the lads are in good form.
Is there a favourite from your squad?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is there a favourite? I'm going to throw two names in the hat.
Okay.
I'm going to throw, and they're both scullers actually.
Oh,
very,
wow.
very good. I'm going to throw Callum Dixon and Tobias Schroeder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, T's going very, very well at the moment, and yeah, he's come back from the break and from the World Championships, just training really, really well, and so that's someone that I'm looking up to at the moment and trying to learn from still. I mean, I might be the oldest person in the room, but I definitely don't have the textbook on how to do everything, and so there are guys around me that I can learn from. So T's definitely one of them.
Yeah, I just have to say, in my opinion, like 30, 31, like up to 32, 33, 34, maybe when you're hitting 35, but this is the peak. You are kind of, I mean, is that something you feel?
I don't know whether it's something I feel necessarily. I think it's something that it gives me confidence to almost know that I'm not sort of over the hump on the way down. I think that's the more important thing. But like I said, my focus has slightly shifted to how I'm performing on the water, and I think I think in the previous Olympiad, when the team was physiologically so impressive, I was getting very caught up on how I was doing on land and everything that was happening on land, and because it's a number that you can just see and judge yourself against. I think going to Cambridge and working with Rob has made me, has kind of like helped me shift my mindset a little bit to, okay, how am I rowing on the water? How am I delivering the power that I do have to the boat in the best way possible?
So can we talk about that a little bit? Because you reached the position of being sort of next in line to the British team in Paris, which is in itself a great achievement. But if you take James Robson like in Paris, and then James Robson when you've been at Cambridge for a while, what changed?
Oh, interesting. A lot, I think.
Okay.
Paris was a very interesting experience for me. I mean, obviously it was a massive honour to be there, and I have gone through quite a lot with Will Stewart, who was my pairs partner in Paris, and it was lovely to be able to go through that experience with him. We've been rowing together since 2016.
Wow.
And so to have 8 years of knowing each other and the support from him has been absolutely invaluable. I think
you had some great results in that season.
We did have
final in Lucerne.
Yeah, a final in Lucerne, and we managed to turn over the eventual Olympic champions in a rep in Varese.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's a really funny. There are some. We jumped in the boat actually a couple of days before that race, and there is a very funny story about that. We hadn't, I mean, because we'd been in the crew for so little time. I mean, obviously Will and I had done a lot of rowing together, but then going to race internationally is quite a different kettle of fish. And we got to halfway, and I think we were 3/4 of length up on the Sinkovich brothers, maybe half a length up on the Sinkovich brothers. And we'd had a conversation beforehand that had sort of gone along the lines of, well, for us, the number one aim is to make the A final, and then we'll see what can happen. So coming through halfway, Will sort of in the bows making the calls, and he said, right, stay here. Now, to me, that meant stay here on the rhythm. Like, we're doing well. Yeah. We're at rate 36.5, 37. Like, let's just stay here and keep focused on what we're doing. To him, that meant stay here half a length ahead of the Sinkovich brothers. And so we sort of had this moment where we then get to 500 meters to go, and I can feel Will starting to really go as the Sinkovich brothers, Martin and Valent, are really opening the taps up, and I go, oh, okay, that's what he meant. Right, we better start moving. So yeah, we managed to hold them off. But then, obviously going into Paris, the thing with being the reserve is it's a wonderful honour, but it's also you really realise how close you were, but how far away you are from it as well. And so Morgan Boulding was ill before the Olympics. And so I actually did the first couple of sessions. I did the final speed order in the 8, and I did the first couple of sessions in Paris in the 8. So Will and I were constantly jumping in and out of crews and trying to help the guys prepare for the Olympics. And that's part of your job. And it was an amazing honor to do that. And hopefully we managed to play our role in getting them prepared for the successes that they then had. You know, smash cut to me then being getting ready for the boat race 8 or 9 months later. I was in a very different headspace. I mean, I think working with Rob was wonderful. He really instilled a lot of confidence in how I was moving the boat. And I think we made some really good changes in how I was moving myself and how I was propelling the boat. And then also just going back into like a university atmosphere of just like almost carefree, fun rowing. Where I was just really, really enjoying turning up to training every day, and that you didn't have much of the pressure that is natural when you're building up to the Olympic Games. I mean, you've got guys that have got their careers on the line, and it's what they've been building to for years. Whereas with the boat race, you know, you've got guys like, I mean, Brian Chen was the fresher in the CEBC squad last year, and I'm there 30 years old planning my wedding, and he's there 18, just wide-eyed and being like, this is so much fun that I get to go rowing with, you know, Tom Ford, the Olympic champion. Like it was a really refreshing change, and something that I'm really, really glad I did.
So you say that Rob Baker instilled confidence in you. I mean, so I would say, well, he helps you instill confidence in yourself around the way you were rowing and technique. So talk us through how that process actually happened. Like what changes did that mean for you, or what maybe greater level of awareness about what you were doing?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that Rob really gives you freedom to make changes, and he really encourages you to go and feel the changes that you're making, explore new ways to speak about the rowing stroke and understand where pressure needs to be placed and how crews move together and how groups of people come together and mesh. So I think it was really a sort of blank canvas almost for me to go and work on my rowing, and some of the things that I'd probably been thinking while I was in the team, but when I'm, you know, in the Paris cycle, I was always scrapping and fighting as hard as I could to try and get an opportunity, to try and get selected for a World Cup or get a shot at racing potentially at a World Championship. Whereas I think then going back into a situation where, you know, I felt comfortable in where I was within the squad. I was towards the top of the squad. And so I was then like, okay, well, I've now got a bit of freedom to take one step back if it means taking 2 steps forward. And Rob really gave me the confidence to go and explore that. I think the technical model at Cambridge is, I mean, he's a fantastic technical coach, and he's definitely, he deserves all of the plaudits that he gets. The thing I found interesting was it was very intentional, and all of the training is very intentional towards how we want to race at pace. And all of the conversations that we were having were, okay, well, this is how it's going to feel as we're coming through, you know, past Chisakea, and this is how the change that we're making now in a 24K paddle on a Sunday morning in November when it's freezing cold is going to pay dividends on April the 13th when we're racing Oxford. And it was a very freeing experience to then just go and I mean, I got to row with amazing people. I love rowing with Dower. Witnessing George's transition from sculling to sweep. Actually, it was quite funny. George and I were talking about it the other day. So I got back from Paris, and we were sort of getting ready to move up to Cambridge, both George and I. And I said, well, George, why don't we come down to Leander just for a couple of sessions, and let's just hop out in a pair, because you haven't rowed bowside in a while, and you probably don't want the first couple of times you row bowside to be in front of Rob Baker. Let's go and have a quiet little 12K paddle. And then we hopped back in back in the pair in December after the December trials for a pairs matrix, and I thought, wow, you got a lot better, George.
Oh, wow.
it's got very different, but I think it just like Rob's freedom to explore new ways of thinking about the running stroke.
So I love that. So there's the whole feeling about being lighter and being encouraged to look at yourself in a different way. So if you could look at a video of yourself, like in the run up to Paris and your stroke, and then you look at a video of yourself, let's say, you know, in the boat race, what are you seeing that's different?
So I'm seeing, first of all, okay, to get quite technical, I'm moving off I feel like I'm moving off the front end now, and especially in the boat race, much more in time with how quick the boat's moving. I think it's one of the pitfalls that I think people fall into is thinking, I need to get to the front, and especially in the 8, I need to hit it hard. So actually the boat's moving its slowest around the front end. So I need to, my aim coming into and out of the front should be connection, not work on the handle. And so I'm really thinking about, you know, if I were to look at those videos side by side, which you know, Steve Trapmore, who's a coach at Caversham, massive advocate for putting those 2 videos side by side and really understanding how far you've developed and understanding where you can go next. So yeah, I'd be looking at how I'm moving off the front end, and then for me, it's a stillness around the back. It's a stillness of my body position and a control of my body position. Whereas I think in the Paris cycle, I was probably trying to create too much power. And so then I was putting myself in weak body positions. Whereas now I'm much more in control of it and thinking, okay, well, how can I maximize my effective length, not like push my overall length?
I don't want to particularly dwell on the boat race, but how surprised were you about the result, given the seeming strength of the boat that Oxford put on the water?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we were very, very confident in our speed. I think we were very confident in our abilities. We'd had a really good training camp in Aviz, Portugal over New Year's, and we'd been developing some good speed sort of through the time that we'd been back. Obviously, there was some slightly challenging situations that we had to face as a squad last year. But I think that was a couple of the interesting things that I found from Rob's coaching. First of all, it was very much focused on us, and it was very much focused on, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to attack the race. Now, we are going to respond if Oxford push really, really hard at a certain point. We're going to have the ability to respond, but the focus is going to be how we respond, not on what they're doing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really found interesting about Rob was, I mean, he was coaching us hard, and I felt we were going well, and I felt we were producing good speed. But I mean, I remember sat there in the pre-panel after our practice start before the boat race, and we were tinkering with stuff, and we were trying to get better, we were trying to improve, and it was that attitude of constant improvement, which is why I think Rob is so good. I think the other thing that's worth mentioning in this as well is, I mean, obviously Darragh, George and I had come in with experience of how to move sweep boats, George with how to move sculling boats, and he's a phenomenally good boat mover. I think the thing that worked for our squad well was that the 3 of us were like, this is how we think we should help move the boat, but we are not boat race veterans. And we were surrounded by people who were boat race veterans. Yeah. And so when it came to the preparation for the boat race, it was like, right, Luca, Noam, what do we do?
Yeah.
What am I going to feel? How many people are there going to be? What's it going to be like? And we were coming in with that attitude of, okay, we'll try and make the boat go quick, but guys, how do we win a boat race? And we were going and trying to learn that from them. And it was quite powerful, I think, for our group, that the older guys and the guys that seemingly had more experience came in and went, okay, but how do we do this? And the younger guys were the ones that were taking charge, and they were leading. So I remember sitting down, I mean, Luke Beaver, who was our 3C, I sat down with him 3 days before the race. He'd raced Goldie a couple of times, and I was like, Luke, what am I going to feel? What's it going to be like?
Yeah.
I think if you then if I then remove myself from that situation, for him, then he's got a lot more trust in me because he's feeling like he's teaching me something.
Yeah.
And I loved that entire experience, and the whole week was wonderful. And again, we had some interesting challenges. Simon Hatcher got a bit ill the day before, so we had to scrap a paddle. We had to change the order the night before. I think George did 450 keepy uppies to try and keep his mind occupied.
Oh my God!
Just to keep your mind off the fact that it's the day before the boat race and we can't go for our pre-paddle because someone's not feeling great. So, yeah, I mean, it's full of challenges, and something always happens in boat race week, but we managed to deal with it well.
So there was kind of an interesting decision from the squad in terms of, who was eligible in selection, because so this is my take, that Cambridge pairs have been doing really well with long distance trials, but then the British pairs trials were on the same day as the boat race, and then it was kind of like, okay, so you guys can't be eligible for World Cups. Like, from the outside, it seemed, that's like strange, but I mean, obviously it allowed you to do what you did in the A. How did you see it?
I think it was, so we did the boat race. We had the boat race dinner, which was wonderful. And then George and Darren and I were at Caversham the next day. So we then had a week of seat racing, which was really
which
good.
You did pretty well in, so I'm told.
I mean, it was all right. I think boat race prep is good for rowing and cruising, and I think having a good seat racing block helps.
Yeah.
George and I, from an academic standpoint, and Dower as well, were tied to being in Cambridge until quite late, and so the conversations were challenging from that regard. We were not going to be able to miss lots of academic work and contact hours and things like that to come and train at Caversham. And I think unless it's a fully formed crew, it's very difficult for British Rowing to turn around to guys that have been training in their squad all year and say, guys, I'm sorry, but we're going to pick guys that haven't been here. At the end of the day, it would have been wonderful to have got some World Cup racing experience and race at the European Championships. But I think having a crack at the Grand in the Cambridge boat and, again, continuing to work with Rob was a great opportunity for us in the summer. And we then I haven't had the experience of just being a rowing fan for a while. And I was watching World Cups. I was just watching World Cup regattas and European Championships, just shouting at the telly, hoping that my mates would do well. And that was really refreshing and nice. And then, at the World Championships, when I then got to be part of it, I almost felt like a fan still.
Oh, wow.
And so it made me really, really enjoy the summer.
Yeah. Could you won that race against the Netherlands, semi-final of the Grand?
That's a good question. I mean, they are the world champions. So they are very, very good. I think we rowed pretty well. I think from probably 400 meters in to the end of the race, I would say, we really took it to them. I think the first 400 meters, it's difficult. Whilst we had guys that have got significant senior experience, we're probably not the strongest physically. And so in a massive headwind, off the blocks, that is probably where you're going to get found out, and we did.
Yeah.
But we might. I think I'd have backed us on a couple of occasions. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would have been fun.
So you guys moved into the four with Dan, who you'd rowed with before, Dan Graham. You weren't called the Cambridge Four at the time, although Dan might have thought it. How does Dan feel? Obviously Dan could speak for himself, but from your perspective, what did Dan feel with these three guys from Cambridge and I'm in the bow seat?
I think, it does help that I've known Dan since he was about 16. So I actually coached Dan in his single when he was a junior at Tyne United.
Are you joking?
For a couple of sessions, yeah. So Dan was sort of growing up through Tyne United.
Yeah.
He was becoming a successful junior, and I'd occasionally go down and do some coaching with him. So I've known Dan for a very, very long time. He's a very, very good friend. I think for Dan, I mean, again, it was kind of the experience of, okay, well, you've done the international racing in the fours. So it was the three of us coming and going, okay, Dan, like, what's the international fours field like? I've watched it from outside. But what's it like racing those guys? How are they going to race? But then obviously, like, you've got the three of us that have been a pretty decent little unit for the season. And so then he's trying to come in and slot into how we're rowing. It led to some quite interesting and in-depth conversations about what we're feeling. And we had to communicate very openly of like, okay, well, we don't have the winter miles to bank joint feelings. So we really have to talk about it and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking around the finish. This is what I'm trying to feel. This is how we're trying to move off the back together.
Who's leading those discussions, or is it just communal? I
think it's communal, but also it's ad hoc.
Yeah.
It was very much like, especially on training camp, when you're suddenly like, all right, we're in Portugal and we're together. I mean, there was a moment, I think, where Dan and I were sharing a room, but Dan and I were walking back from one of the training sessions, and we ended up just sort of getting into a conversation about what I'm feeling around the finish and how he can help me feel supported in that. And so, it meant we were very vocal with each other and spoke about the feelings. So it was good for us as well to kind of verbalize what we were feeling and what we were thinking. So, I think Dan deserves a lot of credit for how well the summer went and how well the fall was going. I mean, he's a very, very good oarsman. And so I don't know. I don't think he has a massive issue with it being the Cambridge 4. But I personally feel like it's important to also give Dan some serious credit for how well the boat was going.
So did this, like, you took the first stroke off the landing stage and the 4 clicked?
No.
Or what? Okay, so just talk us through.
And we sat in loads of different orders. I mean, I started.
Oh, really?
I started at stroke. Then
really?
That was a stroke. Then we put the bucket in. The only constant was Dan in the bow seat, because he was the only one who was. We were training in Longridge at the time, and he was the only one who was willing to take on the responsibility of steering.
That's a difficult stretch. Isn't
it is.
Yeah.
No, I think there was raw speed there. There was always raw speed there, and there was always I think under the water it was always pretty solid.
Yeah.
It was then just meshing how we were moving out of the water, but I think that took us a little bit of time, and it also took us a little bit of time to sort of gain the confidence to have those conversations and to speak up to each other. So it wasn't just like done.
How did you work with Paul Stannard?
Paul was excellent through the summer. I mean, he had always been very good at communicating with the three of us while we were away in Cambridge and keeping us in the loop, and then keeping us sort of involved in things. And then when we came back for testing and trialing and things like that, we were always sort of made to feel very welcome, made to feel part of the team. I think Paul probably understood that there were things that, I mean, we jumped in the boat. By the time we were sort of selected-ish, end of July. And so we didn't have loads of time to, right, okay, we're going to break everything down and then rebuild, from the building blocks up. We sort of had to go with what we had and tinker that. So Paul was very good at, giving us the space to do that and adding his input in making sure that, I think one of my weaknesses is potentially to try and do too much and try and change too much. And, we'll sit there and we'll go for a row and I'll be like, well, let's do this drill. Let's do this drill. Let's do this drill. And I'm like, no, right. We need to do one, focus on how to do that and get better. So Paul was very good at keeping us on the right track. And then also just building our confidence and going, okay, look, you're going well at this speed. And that means, we'll get to going well at pace, but we're going well at this rate 28, and then that'll be rate 30, and then we've still got 6 weeks, and we still got 4 weeks, and we still got 3 weeks, and so building that. And then when we got to China, I mean, China was there were a lot of external challenges that we had to face as the team. I mean, the heat, boats, it was a new shell. We were tinkering with stuff. I mean, like the boats got loaded in early July. So me, George, and Dow hadn't even seen the shell that we were going to be racing in.
Yeah.
And so, it was then like, okay, well, can we get comfortable in that? We need to change this and change that. So Paul was phenomenally good out in China as well, of just making sure that we were happy and we were comfortable and we were confident going into racing.
What was the difference in the boat with George at stroke to Dow at stroke, and why did you settle on that particular order?
I think it being like Dow's obviously done a lot of stuff in the stroke seat. He's a very, very good stroke man. Obviously stroked our Cambridge 8 all of last year. I think he really, while he's very good at sitting at stroke, I think he really enjoys sitting at 3, and he really enjoys following someone and then just going, okay, I'm going to try and help mold the rhythm from within, but be in the middle of it. And I mean, sneakily, he's a bit of a workhorse. Like he likes just he likes just working quite hard and getting connected. I mean, he can get connected phenomenally well around the front, and he sort of likes getting after it a little bit. And so kind of freeing him up in the 3 seat to do that seems to work.
That's pretty cool.
And then George is a born leader.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Yes.
But he, putting him in the stroke seat was a great move to kind of, empower him, and he's had this transition from sculling to sweep, and to give him the confidence and the vote of confidence from the 3 of us and from Paul and from the team of going, no, like, you are a world-class sweep athlete. You're not a sculler who's a sweeper now. You're a world-class sweep athlete, and go and be a world-class sweep athlete.
Yeah. So I remember in Lucerne, it might have been 2012. I can't, there was a 4 with Hodgie and Pete Reed, and they did the world's best time, 5:37, I think, on the Rotse. It was a hell of a tailwind, screaming tailwind. And then this 2K piece that you guys all do together, and sort of rumours were sort of swirling maybe afterwards about how close you'd got to that 5:37 time, and actually how much in front maybe you were of other crews in the team. What did that do for you?
I mean, I'm going to plead the fifth a little bit on.
Yeah, that's good.
On
that's
the speed.
Yeah,
I think what it did for us was it was a point in time. We just got back from Portugal. We were about to head out to China, and obviously we'd not had the racing experience that the rest of the team had. We were a new combination. We didn't really know where we stacked up, especially compared to, world-beating people like the men's quad. I mean, we'd done a bit of stuff with them. We'd done a fair bit of training with them, but, also looking at our women's team, looking at our para team. Lauren Henry had the most phenomenal season last year. I mean, it's heartbreaking into it, but, she was going so well. Yeah. And so we were going into that, not looking for confidence, but coming out of it, we were like, okay, right, we're in the right ballpark. And for this, it's now, the challenge now is, okay, well, when we get to China, how well can we travel? How well can we adapt to the conditions? How well can we adapt to the new shell, as opposed to going, okay, we need to keep finding more speed. Yeah. And you probably didn't see it from the bank, but the week of training in Shanghai, the lake was so bouncy. And so we had lots of conversations in China of going, right, the boat feels very different, and we're maybe getting 10 or 15 strokes of flat water a session. Yeah. We've just got to have confidence in the speed that we've shown, and we've got to have confidence that we're going to be able to produce that. I mean, George, and that's where George's senior international racing experience was absolutely invaluable. Really? He was sitting there going, guys, when he was racing I think he was saying in Richice one time, he was like, the first nice row that I got was the heat. And it's sort of rowing along going, okay, well, I've got to have almost blind faith in that being the case. And it turned out to be.
Yeah. So you went with the aim of winning, or you went with the aim of rowing well, or what was the psychology?
I think we went with the aim. I think we went with the aim of rowing well. Like I personally was like, I just want to go out and put down a good performance, grow through the regatta, learn something, and put down a good performance. I think I would have been disappointed had we not won, but that's because I felt very confident in the guys around me.
Yeah.
I think I would say like I was very, very excited to get racing. And it was, okay, well, let's go and show people how quick we are. Let's go and show ourselves that we are capable and competent to be racing in this field. So, I wouldn't have said I was like, I would have been disappointed had we not won, but it wasn't the thing I was going out there to do. I was going out there to row well and put down a good performance.
I guess in quite a lot of countries, like it would be okay that for world champions, they're kind of pre-selected for the Worlds next year in Amsterdam. What are the chances of that for emerging again as the four? And how's that playing out in the training you've done so far?
I mean, I think the British team is very, very good at mixing things up a little bit. I think we're obviously we've shown that there's something in that combination, and when we row together, the personalities seem to fit. We seem to be able to handle ourselves and manage ourselves well. It's a long time. I mean, and they're long seasons. And I mean, it's a slightly shorter season this year with the Worlds being slightly earlier, end of August as opposed to end of September. By no means are we selected in any way. We're all rowing in pairs combinations at the moment for the British rowing trials that are coming up. I think obviously it would be lovely to be in the four again, because it's nice to have that opportunity to defend a world title. But we're all also competitors, and the team is so strong that we're all aware that, if there's a better combination out there, then we're a pretty good benchmark. And if there's a way we can make it faster, then let's go and do it.
Yeah. Do you have a pairs partner at the moment?
At the moment, yeah. I'm rowing with Matt Aldridge, actually. So it's actually two of the oldest lads in the team.
Oh my God!
Decided to put the old heads out together.
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well. He's very, very smooth. I in the lead up to Paris, I got to do a fair bit of rowing. I hopped in the four a decent bit, and Matt's very, very smooth.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that I'm learning from. I'm sort of a lot that I'm learning from rowing with him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's learning a little bit from me, but you'd have to ask him that. But yeah, it's going pretty well. But it's winter miles. It's November or December now, so it's early days, and we'll see how it goes.
This is just a random question, which is a bridging question. Have you done your Christmas shopping yet?
I did. I actually had a work, so I do a little bit of work alongside the rowing.
Oh, what do you do?
So I work in sports investment. So I work for a Chiron Sports Group is a sports investment fund, and we've just launched. We're working with the US Olympic fencer called Miles Chamley Watson. And we've launched the World Fencing League.
Wow.
So I'm doing a bit of work for them alongside. It was a sort of project that I worked on through my MBA in the summer, and then coming off the back of that, they were like, okay, well, we can let's try and work out a flexible working situation where I do a couple of hours. I think I do 10 or 15, 20 hours a week. And I go into the office on a Wednesday when we got half day. And so last night we had our work Secret Santa. So I did have to do a bit of have to do a bit of Christmas shopping early.
Yeah. Now, again, this is other bridging questions. So there's the whole Denmark thing, which I kind of wanted to understand, and also the marriage, which did that take place in Denmark?
Yeah. So Okay, so the Denmark thing. So my dad is a translator and editor.
Yeah.
So speaks 5 languages fluently.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he worked for the World Health Organization, and their European headquarters is in Copenhagen. And so my mum and dad moved out to Copenhagen in the 80s, and we were all born out there. Now, unfortunately for the Danish team, because we were with the UN, we're diplomats, and so I'm not actually a Danish citizen. Although the Danish team does come to visit Portugal sometimes at the same time. Yeah.
And you talk to them like.
Well, there was a rumor that went around the Danish team before Paris that someone in the British team knew how to speak Danish, and no one said anything I didn't let on. And the last morning I said, "Morning, guys. Hope you have a nice session," in Danish, and they were all like, "It's you." I just sort of fly on the wall, listening to the conversations. Oh, why are the British men doing this? I'm like, well, I can hear what you're saying. So I grew up there. I was coming over to boarding school at Arundel from 13 to 18. But Denmark is a very, very special place. I was born in Copenhagen, like I said, raised there, went to the international school in Copenhagen until I was 13. So it's very, very special. And then I proposed to my now wife in Copenhagen as well. Wow. And she loves Denmark, loves the city. We were looking to do a small, very small, intimate wedding. And so, we decided to do it in Copenhagen in the break. We had a little bit of a season's break post Henley. Yeah. And so we managed to jump away for that. And then actually after the Worlds, flew straight back, and we had a big party wedding the weekend after the World Championships. So managed to get married twice, but luckily both of them to the same girl. Yeah.
Now, what we were talking also about your profile, like from Arundel through Newcastle. Like, one of the words that springs to mind to me is resilience. In terms of your path into the squad was, I'm going to say long and hard, but it wasn't straightforward, and obviously it involved a lot of time at Leander. I mean, what qualities did that bring out in you? And I guess in other people might look at your profile and think, "Oh, right, that's how to do it, to grift, to be in a club, and to get what you want." So from your perspective, how did that work?
So I think going from Arundel to Newcastle, I didn't really know that I was going to, like I said, I didn't really know I was going to be a rower. I then was at Newcastle. I was training quite well, and I had a couple of conversations with Angelo where he basically said to me, he was like, "You can go to the Olympics. Wow. You're talented enough to do this if you put your mind to it." And so at that point, from a very core point of view, like I've always had the intrinsic confidence that I could be at the top of the sport and I could get to the level that I'm at. It was it almost, to me, internally felt like, a matter of when. And then from that point until the point, realistically in the summer, it was just stringing together different things that I could learn and different experiences that I could have and different races that I could go and race at and people that I could row with. And I've been fortunate to row with some amazing athletes.
Like who?
Through my time. Oh, I mean, the list is, I mean, that the first, iteration that springs to mind is the 2015, 10 years ago, the Newcastle first day that I was in. I mean, I was a novice the year before. Yeah. I then swapped sides on stroke side, and I ended up getting into this 8, and it had Alex Lee, who's now the Newcastle women's coach. He was one of my groomsmen at my wedding, just one of my best friends. I had Rudkin, Tom Ford, Tim Clark, me and there, a guy called Sam Wilson, who was in he was in Goldie at Cambridge a couple of years ago. Ollie Knight. Oh, wow. And a guy called Tom James, who was the same year as me in Newcastle. Just being dropped into an elite performance environment when I was 19 and not really knowing what I was doing. to then going to, coming to Leander, rowing with people like Harry Glenister, George Rossiter, Matt Rossiter, Jacob Dawson, meeting these people and getting to row with these people that I'd watched growing up. And George was a Newcastle man, but he'd graduated before I left.
Yeah.
So getting the chance to row with him. Harry Glenister, just phenomenally good boat mover, and someone that I really enjoyed rowing with. Charles Waite Roberts as well, the ex-lightweight, loved rowing with him, and he taught me so much about how to row the small boats, especially. And then going from that into then being in the team and rowing with people. Getting to row with Rudkin again. Hopefully a little bit better than I was in 2015 when I'd rowed with him. Rory Gibbs, Morgan Balding, Sholto, all of those guys that I'd looked up to and respected. But just trying to learn as much as I could. I think there is definitely something to be said for the experience of just having to stick it out and keep going. And I really value that experience that I've had. And I sort of feel like almost every rowing situation that I find myself in, or that a challenge that I face, I feel like I've gone through it in some guise in some part of my career. And so, I really value the sort of the struggle that I had, in inverted commas, to get into the team. I don't think there is one way to do things. I mean, you look at some of the guys that come in straight off the back of under-23s and are just, they're in the seniors and then it just sort of snowballs and keeps going. That's, a great way to do things. I didn't have that opportunity, but I'm not begrudging anyone. Like I love my rowing story.
So you may have answered it in terms of the quality of resilience, because you had knockbacks by the sounds of things, and we can talk about some of the injuries and things that's happened to you. You've had knockbacks. It didn't go as you wanted. You didn't get straight into the squad. So was it, was it such a strong self-belief, or was it other people helping you with confidence? Like where did you get I'm going to carry on because this is what I think I can do?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there is obviously there are difficult moments, and there are people that you lean on for support in those moments. I mean, like my parents have been phenomenally supportive and have always made me believe that I can achieve what I set my mind to and my goals. I think the people, like I said, some of those athletes that I've rowed with are people that will, in those tough moments, I'll ring them up and be like, this has just happened.
Yeah.
If selection hasn't gone my way, then I'll ring them up and I'll be like, oh, selection, this has just happened. And it's like, okay, well, pick yourself up, dust yourself down. What's the next thing we got to push for? And, how can we help, that kind of thing. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. I think it's such an interesting concept of resilience, and I just think, especially in the last couple of years, going back to actually really enjoying the day-to-day, and being like, this is a fun thing to do. Like, going rowing is really, really fun, and making boats go quick is really fun. And so if the process becomes the aim, then actually the results sort of start to take care of themselves. And that's the point that I've got to in the last couple of years of going, okay, that is slightly out of my control. The next thing I've got to do is just go out and enjoy making a boat go quick. And then when I enjoy making a boat go quick, then the results will start to follow. So I think that's been a mindset shift in the last couple of years towards that.
So you've had a couple of health issues, which you've been, quite public about. So first of all, the knee thing. Like, what was it? How did it affect you? And how did you recover from it?
Yeah, so to be honest, don't really know what caused it. I enjoyed running, and I enjoyed doing a bit of running, so that may have caused it, but we're not quite sure. Basically, when I got into the team, we identified, with the S&C coaches, we identified that there was a bit of a strength deficiency in my left leg.
Oh.
And then with the physiologist, we would do tests and see that I was struggling to keep muscle mass on my left thigh, my left quad.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really figure out what it was. So we went and had a scan and basically saw that there was I think they call it an osteochondral defect. So essentially I fractured a bit of my femur, and it had chipped off, and it was a little disc of my femur that was at the bottom of my femur. And when my kneecap rolled over it, as I would compress and extend my leg, I would just get a bit of a shooting pain up my left thigh, at which point my quad would just turn off. It would just not stop working because your body tries to protect itself. And it goes, right, let's get out of that uncomfortable position. And so we were sort of, that took a couple of years for us to figure out what
2 years.
We couldn't figure it out because we thought it was a strength issue, and thought it was just sort of, it's weakness because it's pain because of weakness. And so we did some S&C work, and that was working, but we were then, whenever we'd come back off it a little bit, we'd struggle to keep the mass on. Yeah. So then we went in and we were like, okay, well, let's, end of the 2023 season, we were like, let's go in and do some surgery. And amazing surgeon called Dr. Sean O'Leary over in Reading did the surgery. It was phenomenally quick, the recovery.
Really?
We literally went in, he lifted up my kneecap and took the fractured piece out. Yeah. And from then it was just full gas on the rehab. It was quite funny. For some reason, I decided to do it 3 weeks before I was planning on proposing to my wife. And so I was sat there with the S&C coach, thinking like, I really need to push the range of motion in my left leg. And they're like, why? It's like, well, I'm intending to get down on one knee in 3 weeks' time, so we need to make sure I can bend it. So we did manage to get that, and Sam Boyle-Long and Sam Whittaker, who was our physio then, were great in helping me with that. But yeah, that was good. And then since then, it's been great. We've managed to put and keep the muscle mass on, and the strength deficiency has almost completely eradicated. So, it's still something that we try and manage and keep an eye on, and it's now preventative. We're looking at things, looking at it to make sure that it stays like that. But it's been all good things since then.
So I want to say, what about AF, atrial fibrillation? But it's not atrial fibrillation, is it? Or is it?
No, it is atrial fibrillation.
Oh, right,
it is atrial fibrillation. Yeah, and it's that's potentially one of the things that comes with the fact that I'm the oldest guy on the team. Like, my training age is quite high. I've been realistically doing this full time for about 12 years, or certainly training really hard for 12 years. And yeah, there is a situation where the muscle wall in my heart is quite thick, and so sometimes it can struggle to send an electrical impulse through, and we get the two ends of my heart slightly out of sync with each other. Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often. It was quite scary the first time it happened, because it's not something you sort of think about very much, and then suddenly
you just sat doing what?
I was actually out training the very first time I was out training, and again, I have to give a lot of credit to Will Stewart, because we were out in the pair. Yeah, and I was like, I looked down at my heart rate, and I was like, my heart rate is saying that it's very high, and I can feel something is not quite right. Yeah, and Will was so calm in that moment. He was just like, right, he's there, just like, let's chill, let's sit here for a sec. Yeah, so try and get it under control, and then we took a couple of strokes, and it was like shot back up again. He was like, no, okay, right, we're just going to tap it in, arms only, just into the dock. And then, suddenly all the medical team kick into action, and Anne's there and making sure that I'm okay. And then we go down to the Royal Box and check it all out. And then this amazing cardiologist that we work with, Dr. Sanjay Sharma, we spoke, we went and did an exercise-induced ECG, I think it is. And he was like, I feel really confident in your heart. Your heart health is really good. Yeah. This is just something that you're going to have to deal with. There have been, and it's been fascinating. The BHF, British Heart Foundation, is a charity sponsor of the boat race. So I did a bit of work with them last year about atrial fibrillation. And it's been amazing how many former British rowers, so even former British national team rowers, have come out and messaged me, and we reached out and been like, I struggled with this too, and you're fine, you'll be okay. It's not something that has to impact you. So yeah, I have a pill that I take with me. It sits in my kit bag, in case I go into an AF episode, but touch wood.
Yeah.
It's not happening very frequently at the moment. And there are a couple of things that I do to make sure that I'm at less of a risk of having an AF episode.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's something I live with, but it's not something that has changed my life necessarily.
Looking forward to Los Angeles, a lot of people were asking, like when they saw the way the Dutch raced in Shanghai, they're thinking of 1,500 meters, and they're going out quick. And actually, when you talk to them, that's not what they were thinking at all. How much chat is there in the squad at the moment about 1,500 and racing over that distance?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think because we've got quite a lot of racing to do between now and LA that's going to be over 2K, and so that's all valuable racing experience that we don't want to give up on the opportunity to learn from by targeting the 1,500 meter race, and totally giving up in the last 500. Like we want to make sure that it's a full 2K piece and that we can learn from it.
Yeah,
I think it's not something that it's something that we're starting to speak about, but at the moment, especially in the British team in the winter, it's about trying to create the framework of the stroke that we're then going to be able to take into a 1,500 meter race. I'm interested to see how we adapt and how other countries adapt to the slight change in distance, and also how it'll affect the different boat types. I mean, the 8's probably going to be going under 4 minutes, and the pairs will be going for a significant amount longer. And so it will.
That seems crazy as you say it, and down the track in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
or less than 4 minutes.
Less than 4 minutes, it'll be wild. Whereas, some of the guys in the pairs might be thinking, for 4 minutes, that would be quite nice. Still got quite a long way to go. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it'll change. And we've got a phenomenal support staff that are already thinking about that and already trying to work out what changes and adaptations we're going to have to make over the next couple of years to get ourselves ready for LA.
I mean, I think you've answered it already, but you talked about continuous improvement and particularly Rob Baker's focus on, improving right up to the race. How much sense do you have of where you might go in terms of improvements as an athlete, from next season or going forward?
I think there are lots of things that I can work on. I still think the rowing isn't quite, obviously the rowing's not where it's never the finished article. You're never. I mean, I think it was Alex Gregory was talking about it once, where he was like, it's a sport where you're constantly in pursuit of perfection and you're never going to reach it. And that enjoying that process is something that I'm really being conscious of this cycle. I want to get back to PB shape. I want to get back to sort of being able to produce the physical numbers, but tied in with a better framework of rowing than I probably had when I did it in 2018. I want to, keep improving on the water. I love the opportunity to defend the title in the fall, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. But to be honest, at the moment, I'm just sort of taking it one step at a time and taking it one day at a time and trying to get better day on day. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out answer. No, that's great. It's sort of hard. I think it's difficult in the winter to imagine racing.
Bit of a random question, but relevant to LA, where beach sprint is coming in as a new event. I'm a recent convert to beach sprint. How do you view it, and what's your awareness of it?
I think my awareness is growing, as is everyone's. I mean, the content, the content that we were having out of the beach sprint world champs was amazing, and it's been exciting to be around the beach sprint athletes that come into Caversham every, occasionally. Their training is obviously Caversham's a wonderful place to do flat water training.
Yeah.
Not so great if you're trying to train for beach sprints. There's not a particularly good beach that you can start sprinting around on. So when they do come into the training centre, it's great to chat with them. Obviously, Cam Bucken and I have got some history from being here, so it's lovely to see him when he's around and catch up. I think it's a very, very exciting product. It's a very interesting thing to watch. I am really hopeful for the British team in LA. I think they're going to be going great, and I think it's a really exciting innovation for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like I'm again. It kind of takes me back to where I was at the start of the 2024 racing season, where I'm a rowing fan. Like, I'm really enjoying it, and it's a amazing thing to watch and consume. So yeah, I'm loving it.
I love that, and it's been fantastic talking with you. I mean, just finally, what are your Christmas plans?
What are my Christmas plans? We are training. We got the trials. I'm very, very fortunate that for the World Championships gold medal, the BBC have very kindly invited the four of us to go to BBC Sports Personality of the Year.
Where is it this year?
It's in Manchester, so we're going to be trekking up there.
Hotel overnight?
I think so. I think so. But yeah, I'll be back in Suffolk with my parents. My brother has two small boys, so
you're an uncle.
I'm an uncle.
Yeah.
Uncle James. The Love Actually quote where it goes, "I hate Uncle Jamie" comes out. So no, that's it's sort of amazing when Christmas starts to, the kids start to enjoy Christmas and we can then all enjoy it again. So I think there'll be a fair amount of carnage going on while I think I gave my nephew some golf clubs, which last year, which my brother wasn't particularly happy about because I just gave his son some weapons. So I'm trying to think of more fun uncle presents that I can give that might cause havoc in their household.
That's lovely. So I mean, I think we'll close the live part now. Just to say, best of luck at Brick.
Thank you. Yeah, should be fun. Should be exciting.
You've been a star.
Thank you.
Hey. Right.